Welcome to A Slice of Life. My name is Pastor James. I'm the lead pastor here at Life Church at Easton. And with me today, I've got Troy. Say hi, Troy.
How's it going, everybody?
So it might sound a little different if you're used to Pastor Cole sitting across the way. I thought it'd be kind of fun today to bring in Troy. Troy and I got to know each other a couple years ago when I came to Life Church as the lead pastor, and we meet on a weekly basis and get the chance just to mentor and talk through life, whether it be religious stuff or personal life, marriage, kids, work life, whatever it is. And so I thought it'd be kind of a cool time to just sit down and talk about what is mentoring. It's something I'm very passionate about, working on my doctoral thesis on discipleship. What does that look like? And so I thought this would be a fun conversation. So what we're going to do today, and hopefully you guys are interested and take some time just to listen in and ask any questions on what that is. We're just going to talk about discipleship or mentoring or coaching or whatever you want to call it, I guess.
Right.
Because I think in our world, what we have to understand is Christians, we're called to be disciples. And you go back into New Testament time, Old Testament time, and the idea of having a rabbi, a teacher who would guide you in things. And so even as a young child, a young boy specifically, you would have a leader that you would model yourself after. And then depending on how you went, you either found a new rabbi as you turned 13, became a man, or you stayed in the line of business of your family, right? And so here we are in 2024, and what we find is we don't have mentorship, we don't have discipleship like that. And so one of the things I've really enjoyed over the last maybe year, I think we started this almost a year ago. Basically every Tuesday, you come in my office, unscripted, unplanned, and we just begin to talk. Hey, how's your day? And the thing that we do is we, allow God to move and to be in the conversation, right? So just share with us a little bit about what, coming in, I think, let's talk about just starting a mentorship thing, right? Because I think most have never been in that kind of relationship before. Some have been lucky to fall into that. Maybe they've had a parent or someone very close that has poured into their life. Right. But kind of what you and I do, I think, is different. I think it's a little special because it's very rare that you get these opportunities to say, hey, we're going to spend an hour a week together and just talking about things. So what was that like for you when we first started? You kind of think through that process.
Yeah, I mean, thinking back, I remember you did a sermon on mentorship and challenging the congregation to reach out and get a mentor, right? If you didn't have one. So it really made me think, because I did not have one at the time, and I never really did have one. I had, people I looked up to and stuff, but never really had like sit down one-on-one mentorship, time, I guess. So it really got me thinking, and you stood out. I mean, I
was on the stage.
Yeah, right. So. You're on the stage. So, but we'd already had somewhat of a relationship at that point, and just felt the Lord saying, reach out to him. And that was probably one of the biggest hurdles I had with it, was the initial reach out. Because there's just so many things going through my head. Like, is this going to be awkward? Like, I'm asking you to be a mentor. Like, are you going to say no? Do you have time for me? That type of stuff. But I just had to kind of, put those feelings aside and take a leap, basically, just ask. So I did, I shot you a text and asked if you wanted to just start meeting and kind of take it from there, see where it goes, So I had no plan of what it would look like, how it would look like. I just knew I needed it. I didn't have anybody, and needed to get spiritual guidance and just life guidance, within my life. And, iron sharpened iron, what you say
Right.
all the time. I needed someone to sharpen me,
Yeah.
So, we started and you said yes, thankfully. Praise the Lord for that. And just
A year later, you're not regretting.
Yeah.
You're not regretting.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And so going back to that sermon, one of the things, I really, really believe in is, again, that we all need mentors.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what season or age we are.
Right.
This idea that we need somebody that we can confide in, and somebody that has gone where we're going.
Yeah.
Has been through the process in some scenario. And
right.
I think you hit a couple things, which is really interesting. I hear all the time the fear of being denied. If I ask this individual to mentor me, will they or will they not? I remember I was working for an electrical distributor, very large company. And I was early on in their mentoring program and helping them develop the mentorship program.
Okay.
And it was an interesting world, but one of the biggest struggles we had was that piece of saying, okay, we're going to assign, we actually have people take tests and okay, we're going to assign you to this mentor. And even though there was an assignment there, would that mentor really mentor me?
Right.
So you've got the struggles of will they say yes? And then what is it going to look like? I remember one of the mentors I had, basically we never met. We never talked, nothing. He gave me some books to read.
Right.
I could do that by myself.
Right.
Which taught me a lot about how to be a mentor. Like, that's not what I want,
Yeah.
I wanted a guy just to be able to talk to him and go, hey, you're going through, you're where I want to be in the future. How'd you get there? What are the struggles? Here are the things I'm dealing with. And so I think that's one of them is like, will they say yes? Will they say no? And then what will it look like?
Yeah.
Because when you ask to be mentored by somebody, that's a huge commitment. One of the things that we taught at my company was it's mentee led.
Yeah.
Meaning that the mentor is not going to chase you. You need to chase the mentee.
Yep.
It puts a lot of pressure on you. And then what happens? Let's just be honest. What happens if your mentor is messed up?
Right.
You've kind of locked yourself in, and so within the Christian world, I think we have to be cognizant of that.
Yeah.
That we all have that same concerns.
Yes.
Will they say no? Will they say yes? And if they say yes, am I going to like the yes?
Yeah. Right.
Yep. And so I think there's a lot of pieces in that. When you, as a Jewish man, said, hey, I want to follow you. It was a lifelong commitment. So when Jesus said, come, I'll make you fishers of men, to them, it meant, hey, the rest of our lives until we become rabbis ourselves,
right,
we're going to follow Jesus. Now, it wasn't that long because he wasn't on earth that long.
Right.
And they quickly became leaders.
Yeah.
But to understand the commitment level that's in there, and so I think, for those of you that don't have mentors, I really push you to find a mentor.
Absolutely.
But it's, to your point, man, it's prayer, right?
It is, yeah.
It's like, God, show me the right individual.
Yep.
Show me someone. And this is one thing I talk about a lot is the fruit of the Spirit, right? God, show me someone that has the fruit of the Spirit,
right.
Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, grace. Show me that individual, because that's who I want to model myself after.
Right.
Someone who's in the part of their life where I can see that they've lived through part of my life.
Yes.
So I always talk about like married couples. It would be weird for you to be mentored by a single man,
right,
or a man who's been divorced multiple times.
Yeah.
Because you're not learning how to get divorced.
Or just newlywed.
Right. Yeah. Right. Or newlywed. Yeah. Right. What you want to know is like, how do I stay married,
yes.
a long time? Okay, Pastor James, you've been married 30 plus years.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So check mark,
Yeah. Right.
You got longevity in there. And I think really as an individual to go, okay, what is it I'm needing in my life? And then therefore I look for the individual that I see that fits into,
Yep.
And say, okay, hey man, this is, you fit these areas in my life.
Right.
Will you? And I think that conversation You did it via text with me, which is fine. I like to text anyways.
Yeah.
But, I think finding that niche to say, okay, therefore, this is what I want. Would you mentor me? And then the expectation, what is that?
Yeah.
What does that look like? And that a lot of times can be up to the mentor, depending on how busy he or she is.
Right.
Yeah. To be able to say, hey, we can meet on a regular basis, like us once a week.
Yep.
I try to keep my Tuesdays open for you.
Right.
And say we got this time frame.
Yeah.
And so even today we cut it short a little bit so we do this podcast.
Right.
Yep. But I think it's necessary, right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
In that, and the other thing then, so once you find the mentor, each relationship's going to be a little different.
Yeah.
Yep. Because I mentor multiple other people.
Yeah.
But nothing like what you and I are doing.
Yeah.
In that, some of them are most of them are pastors.
Right.
And that mentorship relationship is a little different. I'm kind of on call.
Yeah. Right.
We don't have a planned weekly meeting.
Yeah.
They'll just call me up, let me know how things are going, ask my advice. Hey, I'm really dealing with this situation. How would you deal with it? So you have those throughout. But I think what you and I have, and one of the things I always strive for, I've got a couple more. I say there's none others, but is that piece where it's planned, whether we need it or not.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, we do need it.
We do. Yes.
And
absolutely.
When I say we, I mean both of us.
Yeah.
Yep. One of the things you and I talk about all the time is how good those sessions are.
Mm-hmm.
They're good because God joins us. Where two or more are gathered in His name, He's there, right?
Yep.
So He's there and joining us. So it's not that you get all the good out of it. I always get good, right?
Right.
And so understanding that, I think, as somebody trying to grow and be discipled, learn, whether it be again family or religion or whatever it might be, to understand. That it's so necessary in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And that's, for me too, it's you hitting on it, you get something out of it. Like, I want that to happen as well, because I don't want to just be taking from you, and burning you out, Right. So I think that's a big part of the relationship, mentor-mentee relationship dynamic too, is feeding off of each other,
right.
And giving to each other, as well as taking when you need it, but giving back as well, because no one likes it one-sided, right?
No.
It can be draining. So
it's exhausting.
Yeah, it's
absolutely
very,
exhausting.
it's exhausting.
Right.
So, just as a mentee, that's kind of how I went into it, just understanding, like, it's not all about me,
Right.
I'm trying to learn from you, and get what I can from you. But I also need to be cognizant to give back to you as well. Yeah. When I can. Yeah.
And so kind of, I'm going to let you talk for a little bit. Explain just what we do. What does it look like on a Tuesday, when you come into the office? What does that look like?
Yeah. I come in, just, we kind of set just a time where we can that works for both of us, and sit down. It's not strict, we generally have the same time. But it's really like, doing what works for both of us. So, it's a ebb and flow, thing. So, it doesn't have to, be this strict thing. Right. But, when we come in, we just, like you said, we kind of just start with how we doing, how's the week, how's the past week, what do we kind of things I'm dealing with, I just share with you, and I wait for your input on that, and kind of start there, and typically it just leads down rabbit holes in a good way, you know.
It's a natural flow.
It's a natural flow
conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And other times there's, whether you bring a specific topic that you think I need to work on, or just questions on topics that I bring to you that we just sit and discuss. kind of just depends on the week, you know.
Right.
I mean, and where either I'm at or you're at in life, you know, at that what each one of us is dealing with, and just kind of go from there. Like I try to, with those questions, if you know that I bring or that you want to discuss with me, kind of come prepared, you know, and just have my thoughts on it and just bounce off of you, you know, and then really just letting the Lord take over from there, you know. I mean, I know there's been numerous times where we've started out on topics and then it just morphed into other things that related, but like God just gave us like epiphany moments, you know,
supernatural revelation.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm like taking notes going, oh, this is going to preach. This is perfect.
Absolutely.
Helps me round out a sermon sometimes.
Yep. And you know, just life situations where I'm struggling to know how to handle it in the Christian way, you know, not my fleshly way where how I want to handle it, you know. And usually, you know, I mean, the difficult moments and, you know, just what do I need to do, you know, or and what I'm doing right now the correct way, or do I need to pivot? You know, do I need to change my course a little bit?
Yeah, right. Am I doing the right thing for the right reasons in the right way? You know, am I doing the right thing, the wrong reason for the wrong, you know? And also thought process. You know, how am I thinking through? And I like how we do that, our mentoring sessions, because again, we see God in those moments. And, you know, I think this podcast really today is for me just trying to get people out there and finding mentors. You know, and so as you think through this conversation that we're having, you know, it's okay for people to come in unscripted.
Absolutely.
You know, I have nothing today. Like there's nothing, but there's times that you come in and you say, hey, I really, really want to talk about this. What, you know, my wife and I had an argument or discussion, or we're facing this, or, you know, those are okay moments there. And there's other moments like you've said, you know, I looked at you and said, okay, I think this would be a really good conversation to have. You know, we've attacked certain things like just mentality, you know, of just how we see ourselves, certain pieces of those, some of the struggles that we're facing, you know, and how do I deal with those moments, you know, and so we've had a Tuesday where it's been completely unscripted, and yet powerful, and then there's been scripted ones, and they're also as powerful, and so I think as those of you that are hopefully getting to the point where you think I really need a mentor. You know, not only are you looking for someone who's been where you want to be, but then you're also looking at someone that you're willing to sit across the you know, from like we are right now, and just say, hey, let's just talk. You know, let me just open, let me be transparent, let me just share my life, and then let's talk back and forth about what it is, because the truth is I don't have all the answers, and nor will your mentor have all the answers. If your mentor has all the answers, run. I mean, You know, you know, you've heard me say it probably multiple times. I don't know. I mean, you know, let me tell you about my issues. You know, I've been married 30 years. I haven't figured white women out yet, you know, and so there's still those struggles, and, you know, but hey, these are some of the things I've tried. These are the, you know, so I think understanding that as a mentee specifically, you know, that it's okay to walk in the room and go, I don't really know what I want to talk about. You know, because if God is in the room, he'll find something to talk about.
He will.
And we found that out very quickly.
Absolutely.
Because so many of our conversations do start with nothing, you know, in the sense of how are things going. I thought of one recently that we had. I said recently, who knows how long ago it was. But racing. So one of the things, podcast, this guy's a racer. He's a motorcycle racer, dirt track. And so we were talking about that a little bit, and just kind of what that looked like. And so it morphed into more than just dirt track racing. You know, this idea that, again, that that we can start one direction and then go another direction, and it's okay, right? I think it's okay to have those conversations that start with nothing, and morph, like we said, morph into something more important than that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's been numerous times where, you and I have started with nothing and ended up with like really something, and I don't know, just letting God move however he wants to move,
right.
I think a lot of our sessions are like that, just letting him take control of it, and just whatever kind of pops in our brain, and talk about it with each other, and being vulnerable about it, because there's a lot of times where I question my thinking, or my is what I'm thinking right or whatever. So I have to have a level of vulnerability with you to be able to talk through that.
And be willing to hear me tell you that you're an idiot.
Right. Right.
I've never said he was an idiot, so don't be mad about it.
He hasn't.
I'm just playing. I've thought it. But
I'm sure I've thought it about myself too.
Just like every guy is an idiot. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I think that's, with this dynamic, that's an important piece, that you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable in a way. And being open with each other, because no growth is going to happen if you're hiding it.
Exactly.
If you're hiding the struggle, or if you're hiding the insecurity, whatever, good or bad, whatever it is. I mean, you got to be willing to let it be out there and let the light shine on it. And that's a scary thing. Because I know me personally, I don't like being called out on stuff, but I know when I walk in with you and I need to be called out. I know there's deep down in me where I know what I'm dealing with. I need checked sometimes, and, or maybe just confirmation that what I am doing is all right. Not because I've had both, I've been on both sides. So
I don't beat you up every week. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, you're right on,
and just keep doing what you're doing. But there have been times where you've had to correct me and course correct me. Not in a, condemning way, but you're just directing me to where I need to go.
Well, I think so often it's not a I'm beating you up or any of that. Sometimes it's just a double check on a thought. And so often I think what we struggle with is, let's just talk men, right? I can speak about men, right?
Right.
So often we have one frame of mind. And sometimes we just need a brother, a mentor, whatever that might be, to say, hey, have you thought about it this way? Let's give you a different perspective on whatever it is that you're dealing with in this moment.
Right.
And can I just tell you, we all need that. And I can't tell you how many times you've come in and it's what it's been. It's just like you're either missing a little bit piece or you're there, but you're just doubting yourself. Like you've got it right, but you've got just a little bit of doubt in you. And to hear that confirmation or hear that tweak, it's the best thing in the world for us. It not only bolsters us, but it just confirms us as individuals. I think most of us, I say most of us, I think a lot more of us, I'll put it that way, are on the right track. And yet we just doubt we're on the right track. Because what ends up happening is we know ourselves. We know our failures. We know our thought process. We know the things that we think that we don't tell anyone else about. We know all that. And so that we begin to doubt. I was just talking with someone recently and they just shared a worship pastor just sharing that they're so frustrated that they doubt themselves, and I'm like, I'm right there with you. I'm at the head of the game.
Yep.
You know, and because I doubt myself because I know who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that God can use a man like me.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
And
I'm right there with you both.
Right.
You
exactly. And I think let me say it this way. If you're not there, there's a problem with you.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, like, we must understand, like Paul says things like, man, what a wretched man I am.
Yeah.
You know, Isaiah woes me from a man of unclean lips.
Yep.
You know, so these were individuals, you know, Paul and Romans, like, why is it I can't do what I want to do, and that which I don't want to do, I do.
Yeah.
You know, to understand that we're all frail humans.
Yeah.
And to think that a sovereign God, a mighty God, would actually use us.
Yeah.
And then, therefore, what we're doing is right sometimes. It is hard for us to fathom.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
Because what we want, I think, is we want to be right, and therefore everything that comes afterwards is good.
Yeah. Right.
You know, like I did the right thing here.
Yeah.
You know, and the result doesn't work.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Show that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Like, it's like working on a car, you know, and you're like, I did the right thing. So I'll be transparent.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm out on my riding lawnmower. I'm tired. I just got home, but I knew I needed to mow the backyard. It was horrid. You know. And I'm trying to get that riding lawnmower working. I can't. So I charge the battery. I check the oil.
Yep.
Check the spark plug. Check the gas, obviously.
Yep.
You know, I'm cleaning the air filter. I'm doing everything right. Right. That thing won't start. I could hear it click. I'm like, okay, so the battery's fully charged now, the whole thing. Finally, I've set it on the battery charger even longer. I think, okay, maybe that's what it is. It's been out in the rain for the last couple of days. Finally, at 7:05, it's like dark outside. I'm like, I never put in the parking brake.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Just that moment. And I think sometimes we have the same issues in our life.
Yeah.
And that's why you need a mentor, someone to be there to go, hey, did you put the parking brake on?
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's something as simple.
Yes.
Just FYI, if you don't know, the lawnmowers don't start without the parking brake on.
Yep.
And nor do they start when you don't sit on them, unless you've manipulated it. And,
right. Yeah.
I even tried to do that. Like, maybe that thing's wrong, but that's the mentor-mentee relationship, or should be.
It should be. Yes.
You know, it's not me coming along saying, "Well, you idiot! I can't believe you missed this big thing."
Yep.
It's me coming along and saying, "Have you thought about the parking brake?"
Right.
You know.
Yep.
You've done everything else right.
Yep.
But there's just one minor thing.
Yeah.
You know, or to say, hey, you're doing everything right, but because of the circumstances around, or because we deal with other humans that aren't doing the right thing, and just because you're walking as light does not mean they're going to enjoy you.
Yeah.
You know, I shared on Sunday that Christianity offends.
Yeah.
And when you look at the early church, they either really offended people or the people loved them.
Yep.
There was no middle ground.
Right. No in between.
You know, when you read the Bible, hence the persecution that happened, the whole thing.
Yep.
You either really hated them or you really loved them.
Right.
You know, we want to be in the middle somehow. We're not supposed to be. But I think when we do all the right things for the right reasons in the right ways, we expect that we're going to get the results.
Yeah.
You know, and the truth is, and you and I have had this conversation specifically.
Yep.
We're called to do, not to have the results.
Right.
You know, God holds us accountable for what we do, and I think that's what that mentor does, or should be doing. Is to help you process and go, you know what, you're doing all the right things, man. Just keep plugging away.
Right.
You know, and whether you see the result or not, you're going the right way.
Yeah.
You know,
just receiving that encouragement, from your mentor can be everything, you know, because like you said, the doubt can creep in, or the weariness, or whatever it is, you know, just knowing you're still on the right track and someone else can see it and show you that, or tell you and reaffirm that you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Can be just what you need, you know, both ways, and or the slight course correction, not you telling me what to do, but just making me think, and think about what I'm doing.
Right. I love that you bring a notebook, by the way. I've never been a big note taker, but you guys got to know this about Troy, man. He takes notes, and he'll come back the next week and he'll go back at those notes. And this is like a 101 for mentees right now. Take notes.
Yes.
And then when you process at home, be willing to go back the next week, which you've done to me multiple times, and say, hey, we talked about this. Can you clarify a little bit?
Yep.
Right. Man, that's like mentee 101.
Yeah, because well, we talked. There's a lot of information going on. There's a lot going on, and me myself, I know I'm not going to remember all of it. Yeah. So I remember the majority, but I need to write it down for me personally, and that helps me process. And like you said, I go back to it and as much as I can, and like you said, if I'm looking over something or just, contemplating something you've told to me, and I just need more clarification, we can come back to it, which I think is the whole point,
It is the whole point. Yeah.
And just hashing it out, whatever it might be, getting to the bottom of it and working through it. Yeah. And then I know there's something I struggle with and continue to, work on it daily is taking what you have brought to me and actually applying it. Because I've said it many times in our conversations that I know what you're saying to me. Like, I know it's right. I know I need to do this, but actually going through with it is the hard part, right?
But isn't that part of the conversation?
Yeah.
I think through conversations we've had months ago, and then you deal with something and it's like, okay, let's go back to what we talked about. We circle back into those moments. And hence again, why I think this relationship, this mentee mentor discipleship relationship is so important, because it gives me and you an opportunity to hash through some things and go, okay, dude, you failed.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's been many of those.
What can you learn from that failure? Because you knew the right answer.
Yep.
But putting it into practice. Yeah. I mean, what we talk about today, it's this concept. I know that God is sovereign. Yeah. But yes, it's easy to say out loud. It's hard to live it that way and to be okay with the situations and struggles. Absolutely. And so how do we grow in that? Well, it's repetition. Yep. It's going and you and I'd share with you that picture of climbing a mountain. Yeah. And this is free for everybody right now. I'm giving this
Listen up, this
free,
was good.
Right? So as you climb a mountain, for those of us that hike, you don't climb straight up a mountain, right? You kind of weave your way in and through. And there's times that you go down a little bit, and sometimes you have to climb a little higher or quicker than you want to. That's our life. Yeah. And I think understanding that we continue to move. Yeah. And so those times that we go backwards, what we feel like we're going downhill. We've made a mistake, but we've not stopped. Right. Right. And the understanding that we're still climbing through, and far too many of us, and this is what I shared with you, far too many of us feel like, I slipped, I went down a little bit, so now I've destroyed my hike. Well, no, you're not at the base anymore. Right. You just had to learn a different way to get up that piece of the mountain, because it's too much to climb at that moment. And it's a reframing of your mindset. And again, where your mentor should be helping you go, okay, you're dealing with this one more time, but you've not failed because you're still moving forward. Yeah. Man, what would happen if we all lived that way? Right. And thought my failure is only a failure when I stop. Yeah. And so, I course corrected and I went the wrong way for a little bit. Yep. But I still can turn back again. Yes. Yes. And get back to where I was. And most of the time, most of us don't go all the way back. Yeah. Right. Like we don't go, we don't all the way to fail so poorly that we get that far. And I think that's that conversation that we have. and being okay to go back to a conversation, being okay to go back. Okay, what's the practical part of it? Because I think that's where, and please don't hear me, I'm not saying anything wrong about counseling. Counseling is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Christian counseling, let me clarify, is very important.
Yeah.
Right. But so often Christian counseling fails, and I'm not talking for everyone, but it fails because it doesn't have this style of relationship where it's an iron sharpening iron. Christian counseling so often is about me trying to sharpen you. Yeah. And what fails is in the practical piece. And your mentor, and you said it, doing life together. Your mentor should be part of your life.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
And so I think we see that in ourselves, or should see that in ourselves. And then from that point on, what we do is go, okay, I'm in your life. And so therefore, when you deal with this situation, we go back to what we discussed and say, okay, now this is how we apply it to our lives.
Right.
You know, and hence why I love our conversations, because they're always wrapped around our life.
Yeah.
This is how I live.
Yep.
Right. And so then how do I live it as a Christian man?
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
How do I live it as a Christian father?
Yep.
A Christian husband.
Yep.
Right. We've had those conversations, and I think it's important because the Bible's not just about theology.
Right.
You know,
it's practice.
It's not the just doctrine of God, who God is, but rather it's the practice of how to therefore live.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, there's been multiple times where I've gone what feels like the same issue, you know, over periods of time. And I always come back and say, like, I know I handled it a little bit better this way at this time, but I still have a lot of improvement with this, you know? So what can I learn this time now? And what tweaks can I make with this specific situation, so I don't have to continue relearning this, you know? And then, like you said, like actually applying it. And there's been times like in the moment where I'm going through it and I have to reach out to you and be like, check me right now on this. Like, what? I need you now. You know,
you've texted me a couple times like,
it's like,
Pastor,
my headspace isn't right. I know what I need to do, but I just need to hear you say it to me, type of deal, you know? And I love that about our relationship, where I can do that, you know, with you, not just the Tuesdays, you know? So, I don't do that often, you know, but knowing that you're there in times of need is also very beneficial, you know, like in the moment.
So what would you say, if you talk to our mentor right now, someone who's thinking about becoming a mentor? Now, let me just pause for a second, because if you are a Christian man or woman, and you've been doing it for a while, you know, you should be a mentor. You know, like you should have somebody underneath you. And I don't mean that in a derogatory concept, but the idea that you see somebody that maybe was where you were 10 years ago. You know, so I really challenge seasoned Christians, get out and mentor somebody. But so what would you say? Somebody's like even thinking about it. You know, what would your advice be to our mentor as somebody who's kind of fresh, or, you know, a year into the mentee process? You know, what advice would you give to a mentor?
Oh, I would say, be open as well. You know, I think knowing your life as well and understanding like where I've been or what I'm going through, you have too, and you're not afraid to let me know that. and just tell me your experiences and how you handled it, and how you and God got you through it, and the tools and the resources you utilized is very beneficial. Like it's huge, because I mean, you're teaching, and just, I don't know, just I mean, just being open, really. I mean, that, and being yourself, you know, not not sugarcoating stuff, and just being forward with me, I really appreciate when I am struggling, or if I'm doing something wrong, or I need corrected on something, that you're just open about it. Like you're not afraid to let me know that, because I need it, So I think as a mentor, not really being timid in that sense, needing to be bold with one another, because if you see someone struggling or just struggling with an issue or dealing with things, and you see something that they're doing that's, will help, and they just need to stop doing something, the particular action, let them know. Let them know. And then I also liked what you also brought, different topics with me, that really benefited me and caused me to think. So just really challenging your mentee, to grow, like pushing them. I appreciate. So I think that's big things that a mentor can bring.
I think that's great, because again, as you look at the role of a mentor, we actually just talked about shepherding. I see a mentor as a shepherd.
Right.
Shepherd's job is to bring the sheep to the right pasture. The pasture for them. The sustenance that they need. And I think taking that role seriously. Because what you could do, and I've seen, I talked about in the corporate world, mentorship is fully mentee driven. And it's like, okay, I'm here, unload on me. I'm your mentor, just unload on me. I'm going to tell you how to get it right. And then tell me next time you need help. I don't see that in Christian discipleship. I don't see that in early Christian life at all. It was an ebb and flow. The mentor brought subjects and because they saw into the person's life. One of my favorite sayings comes from the Jewish Talmud. It's a true disciple is covered in the dust of his rabbi. So we think through the process, what that means back then. To be covered in the dust, that means wherever the rabbi went, I went. I was right behind him. I was following. I was watching his life. Now, obviously, we can't have that in this day. I mean, your wife would kill you.
Right?
If all of a sudden you're like, honey, I'm disciple under Pastor James, so I'm leaving.
Right.
We don't have that. But anytime we're together, right? It's watching, but then there's onus on me as well, because then I need to look in your life and go, okay, what are the areas that I see that he's capable of? Things like I've had you teach, facilitate on Wednesday night, you share your testimony, get up and read scripture. I'm pushing you in areas because I see capability there. I see calling there, and things that you would not naturally do yourself. Now, one of the greatest things about you, Troy, is that you trust me enough that you say yes. Not reluctantly. You don't want to, but you're like, I trust you. And so my advice to a mentee is trust. Trust your mentor. Again, hopefully you've prayed about it. You've gotten confirmation from God. They're individuals that you know and love, and but trust them. That if they're willing to invest their time into you, that they want the best for you. Right. And that is so important, to know that you have someone in your corner that really wants the best for you. I don't want you to be the best me. I want you to be the best Troy.
Absolutely.
And that's not, I'm not creating another me. Because if I was, we'd be having a whole different conversation. You'd be much deeper into theological thinking right now, and I'd take you through that world. No, I want you to be the best Troy. I want you to become the best husband, father. You've got such a unique situation, with the adopted kids, the foster kids, newly married, you've got this really cool dynamic, and looking at you and say, okay, well, how do I just see who he is and
Yeah.
see where he needs to become.
Yeah.
And that you've trusted me as we've walked through this together.
Yeah.
And so as a mentee, not only finding someone who's been where you want to be, but somebody you can trust.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think it's such a key to that. And trust, it says it's earned, but trust is given.
Yeah.
You had to trust me.
Yeah.
Before I could even earn your trust. And in our world today, we say, well, trust is earned. No. If you're waiting for me to earn it,
Yeah.
we're going to miss out on a lot.
Absolutely. Yep.
But you sought me out, right?
Yep.
You heard the sermon. You're like, God, who is it? Okay, Pastor James, I'm going to,
Yep.
and then we're going to meet and I'm going to trust that he's going to lead me in the right direction.
Yep.
I'm going to trust that what he says is not just to make me like him, but to help me out.
Yeah.
And as we think of this mentor-mentee relationship, and hopefully some of you listening will go in this direction.
Yep.
You're picking the right person is so important. Obviously, God should help you, but like you're saying, mentors, be open.
Yeah.
Be willing to share your life. Be willing to share your examples.
Yeah.
Be willing to take them where they need to go.
Yeah.
But man, mentees trust.
Yeah. And I mean, from a mentor side too, like just showing up, like just showing up every week is huge, I mean, obviously life can happen, but if it's consistently, just stuff you're not meeting, then, it shows you're not invested really. Right. So being invested is like, I'd say 90% of the battle, just showing up for your mentee,
right.
As well as the mentee showing up for the mentor, taking it seriously. And then like with you said, the trust, there's really no benefit of going through that if you're just going to have to go through the motions,
right.
If you're not going to take what your mentor is saying to you and applying it, if you're just, if it's just empty words to you and you're not taking action on it, you're just wasting each other's time.
What's
what's the point?
Right.
So I think finding someone and being someone who is invested in it and takes it seriously is a huge part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned something, the intentionality of all of it is so important.
Yeah.
And to get the most benefit out of it, it needs to be on a recurring basis.
Yeah.
And far too many people will say how busy their lives are. I can't afford that much time. You make it happen. You find a way to make it happen. Because I'll tell you, from a mentee standpoint, these are my favorite times of the week. And I've said it to you before. I'm so busy. But this takes precedence over all that other stuff.
Yep.
Why? Because it's important.
Right.
This has eternal significance.
Yeah.
Where a lot of the other things, and I'm a pastor, so a lot of what I do is about eternity.
Yeah.
But a lot of the other things are more temporal.
Right.
Or can be pushed back. Or, and so even just setting up once a week, an hour a week might seem daunting.
Yeah.
But you can make it work. I used to do Tuesday mornings at Duncan.
Yep.
And I would mentor people there. Found time to make this happen.
Yeah.
And I think it's so critical as we see the darkness getting darker.
Yep.
And how do I become more light? Well, this is how I become more light. How to iron sharpen iron. How to increase myself. How to know how to do and be who I am. And I'll end with this thought. I think I love Moses Joshua is such an incredible story in the Old Testament. Joshua, the guy who's going to take over for Moses, says multiple times that Joshua just basically hung out where Moses was. And he actually would hang out at the tent of meeting after Moses would leave. Yeah. But Moses and Joshua were an incredible team, a mentor-mentee team. Joshua was sitting at the feet of Moses. Moses would tell him, this is what I want you to do. Yep. He went up the mountain with him, would spend all his time. But then a failure happened. And the failure happened when Moses died. Joshua never had that. We never see that relationship within Joshua.
Yeah.
And so if you, for those of you who know your Bible, you know what happens after Joshua, the book of Judges.
Yeah.
Generations that don't know God, that walk away from. They got the promised land, but they never had a leader. Well, that all comes down to mentorship.
Yeah.
Moses mentored Joshua. Joshua, as a mentee, never became a mentor.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
And can I tell you, I think our world is in the state it is today, the U.S. Specifically, because we forgot what mentorship is.
Yeah.
We've lost that calling. And to say as a seasoned Christian, male or female,
right,
that I no longer am seeking out people to mentor. You know, I'm just living my life because I've gotten so busy. What would happen if we flip our pages back?
Yeah.
And we begin to get this mentorship relationship back again.
Yep.
I mean, for you, I'll speak for you, I guess. You can speak for yourself.
Yeah.
You've grown. I personally have seen you grow in this season, not because of me. I don't believe it's because of me, but I believe it's because of us.
Yeah.
Right. As we've allowed God to kind of work in there, because I've grown. Yeah. You know, and so you see that and go, okay, so within a year, how far have you come? Yeah. You know, and what would have happened if you would have had this relationship 3 or 4 years ago? Right. Where would you be today? Right. You know? Yeah. Where would I be today? Yeah. And so for all of us to understand that, and I will tell you, I am where I am today because of men, spiritual fathers, some of them I call spiritual fathers, that have helped me through seasons of my life. Yeah. You know, those mentors that I've had that have been able to pull me through scenarios and situations. I just sat down a couple weeks ago. I'm dealing with something, you know, and I'm like, I just need your help. I already knew what to do. I've known what to do. God had told me what to do, but is there another way? You know, right. Please tell me, you're a spiritual father. I trust you. Yep. You know, check me on this. You know, and so you know, you look at it and go, okay, well, when therefore do you no longer need a mentor? And the answer is never. Yeah. Right. You go to heaven, you're done. You know, like that. You probably don't. You still need a mentor. Yeah. You know, and so I think as we understand that calling, I just urge everybody. Yeah. You know, absolutely. Number one, get a mentor. Yep. But number two, if you're a seasoned Christian, look for individuals to mentee. Yeah. You know, look for somebody that is out there that you see something in, you know, pray about it and go, God, show me something. The church should be a place where everybody has somebody, you know, to be able to talk to spend time with, you know, and not just on a Sunday morning. Yeah. You know, it should be that a little bit more that we're in the life, you know, and if we had more time, I'd talk about Calvin and I'd talk about Luther and the discipleship process and how they dealt with things. I think it's perfect. But the church is meant to be that. Yeah. To where I have somebody in the church, in the body, in the fellowship, that's going the same direction I'm going, and to be able to have that person that I can count on. Yeah, absolutely. Right? Well, 100% agree. Amen. Well, we always end the same way. Just know this: you are believed in and loved, or loved and believed in. Loved and believed in. So yes. Catch us on social media: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, our web address, lca.church, anywhere we're at. We love comments, by the way. If you would just comment, let us know thoughts, things that you want to maybe have us discuss. Yeah. You know, let us know those things, and we'll catch you next time.